Okay, we're live now. Hi, everyone, and welcome again to Remolody Reports. This is the sixth edition of my report series. And once again, I'm here with Seven of Solutionaries Media Network, and we are going to continue the conversation that we had started in part one of this particular series on the Grenfell Tower fire. Seven is a concept innovator and a musician and founder of her own media network. She, not very long ago, won a rather exceptional and extraordinary case with a $1 trillion settlement with a very large media group, who she has found to be part of a very large crime ring. The crime ring, in fact, that's responsible for much of the false flag terrorism that we see constantly cropping up in the news. And in this particular recent event, the Grenfell Tower fire, very sadly, Seven experienced the loss of very close family members in the fire. And so she has been looking into the fire very closely in order to understand what exactly has gone down. And in the process has come to understand that it's entirely possible that the fire was very pre-planned and the result of many long years of planning and can be attributed to this very same crime ring that she has come up against before. So welcome, Seven.
Greetings, Brimola. Thank you for having me on your show again. Much
Absolutely.
appreciated. And greetings to everybody out there who's been following this, sharing the videos, actually reporting on what's happening. We really appreciate it, immensely because obviously we're dealing with a massive, major crime, which currently nobody's been arrested, and hundreds of innocent people were killed, as everybody knows. You just have to look at the building to know that there's obviously 600 people living there. They probably had guests and other people staying there. So we know it's a large number of people that have died. It's not 80 people. It's hundreds and hundreds of people. Just count the windows and it will tell you. Obviously, they've not just vanished into thin air. So, yes, I have been looking into it and I'm very grateful for everybody who's been following. Recently, I spoke at a Grenfell, it's like a public inquiry with the judge who has been appointed. But it isn't a public inquiry. I want to say this, Romola, because it's very important for people to understand this.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Um, the the judge in question was appointed by Theresa May and not the public, not we the families who've been affected. So it's a sham to call it a public inquiry when we didn't appoint any of the people who are designated to look into this, and we have no what is the word?
No
Well,
real
there's
say or no vote.
well, what we're talking about is classic Hegelian dialectic principles at play. We have people who have perpetrated the atrocities and the horrific mass murder of hundreds of people, which is being played down. Um, Having those people who are stage managing the whole situation, refusing to answer people's questions. And not only are they refusing to answer people's questions, these very people are appointing the judge who's supposed to be investigating this. If it's a public inquiry, the public should designate and select the person, and the person should be completely transparent. They should be completely, in terms of law, when we look at law, common law states cases should be heard by judges of our peers or juries of our peers. So how could someone like this man come into that community with melanated people, Muslims, which he has nothing whatsoever to do with, and be appointed to investigate this? I mean, people are being treated like children. You know, basically, we have a woman who has no relevance to that community either, who has appointed somebody to basically cover it up. That's what's going to happen. That's what is happening. That's why the scope of this is completely narrow. It doesn't want to factor in all the very important information, which is why we are doing this report, to get the facts out to the public, and so that people can see what actually happened. And so from where we left off. Now, if I can just rewind you to our special report, which was of part 3, because I did 2 videos before that myself, just me on my own.
And sure, I know you broke up the one video conversation we had into 2 parts. So at my end it's one part, but at your end it's 2 parts. So it would be part 3 for you. Yes, absolutely.
No, it's actually it's one part. I didn't break it up. It's just that I did another video about Grenfell before.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I've did this. That was the 3rd video I'd done on Grenfell, so I've just done it like a series. Okay. Even though this special report is actually the 2nd special report we're going to do, and as I've said before to everybody, my position is, as somebody who has been doing law for a very long time, who's won a massive case against this crime ring, is to look at evidence. You know, there's one thing us asserting and making so-called allegations or presumptions, but there's another thing actually bringing out evidence. And this is what this special report is about, is so that we can examine the evidence to see whether there is any validity being asserted. Now, what is being asserted? That A, it was premeditated. Grenfell fire was premeditated, I should say Inferno, and I should also say mass murders was premeditated, where my aunt Marjorie Vital and Ernie Vital were murdered. Now, we don't know about Ernie yet, but we have had it confirmed that my aunt Marjorie Vital, her remains were found in her flat, which was, she was on the 16th floor, flat 102. Sorry, flat 162. Forgive me. And so far, that's what we know in terms of my aunt. You know, we are being treated disgustingly. I personally am being treated disgustingly. When I call the emergency numbers, people don't answer. You know, I've got 2 reference numbers. They didn't actually call me to tell me my aunt was found in a fire. It had to be other family members and friends that called me up to tell me. So that's kind of how we're being treated. The victims are being treated like the perpetrators, and the perpetrators are being treated like the victims. That's what's going on here. And it's because what we're talking about is a satanic crime ring. This was a satanic ritualistic sacrifice. There is no question about it. Now, what I want to do is kick off from last time. Just so to quickly recap, last report we covered Operation Mockingbird, which basically showed us that the movies Dark Tower and High Rise is out there because mainstream media is being used as a military operation whereby real life crimes are being embedded as scripts and plots of TV shows. It's been done since the 1950s. And so that's something we looked at the evidence of in the first report we did. So I recommend that everybody have a look at that. We also looked into, obviously my aunt was being flagged up all over the mainstream media, but they don't make any mention of me. They don't make any mention of the massive case that I've won. You know, there's 2 massive reports on the case. If you look at these are massive reports on the case and all my work that's been stolen, on the crime ring, on the companies involved. whoops, I wanted to just show you the companies. If we can just flip to those pages,
Oh,
some
yeah.
of the companies that are beneficiaries of my work. Okay,
That's pretty
besides, this is
astounding.
besides the actual crime ring. And then so that as that what I just showed you was the actual report, which you can get on my website, which is solutionariestv.com. And if you / downloads, you can get it that way, or just go onto the website and get it there, or you can get it from Tony Farrell's website, because these reports were compiled by him and myself in 2013. So this is the appendices, which is basically the legal documents. So you'll see the actual sealed documents from the court case. You'll see witness testimonies. We haven't got all the witness testimonies. It's sworn affidavits. They're all stamped and sealed by the court. I don't know if you can see all that. I'm trying to show you in the camera. But basically, this is a massive report. And we
And the
haven't put
PDF is
everything.
online.
Sorry?
The PDF is online.
Yes, the PDF is online. As I said, you can get it from my website, which is solutionariestvnetwork.com, and it's SOULUTIONARIES.com. Or you can go on to the Farrell Report, FARRELL.net, and then you have to go into where it says the main report. There's a main report. There's also a third report, because there's a rebuttal, because as soon as these reports came out, they sent out their smear campaign to smear my name, call me a liar, call me an agent, call me all kinds of lying, evil things. You know, this is how they manage their crimes. They send out infiltrators, they send out people. There's loads involved in Grenfell Tower.
Yeah, defamation and slander is the favorite ploy of theirs.
Absolutely, defamation of character. They'll smear you all over the place and lie about you in all of this. Is how they have managed to get away for so long. But anyway, there is a third report, which is basically on one of their hired character assassins, which is Mark Windows. His name is Mark Windows. He's I'll show you his face here. He is appointed by the state to smear the names of genuine victims. This man here. He's an agent. He's an agent, and he's an evil, nasty piece of work. He should be ashamed of himself, what he does for money. You know, how anybody could smear people that are suffering, people who have had their lives torn apart. How does anybody do that for money? But this is what this man is doing. He's put my name in this filth for a very long time. So therefore, he will be part of those going to prison when this all comes to the proper case.
Let's hope.
So, my website might be down at the moment, but if it is, don't worry, keep trying. It will be up very soon if it is. Okay, so right. Yeah, we covered, what else did we cut? Yeah, so we want to make sure that everybody can get as much information as possible. I've liked a lot of videos on my channel, which is Solutionaries Media Network. If you go to Solutionaries, SOULUTIONARIES, Media Network, and on YouTube, you can look at the 7 Gate videos. I recommend that you look at the interview series that I did with Alfred Weber, because it will give you a very good understanding of the background to this horror story and what this crime ring are all about. Now, it's just so that everybody understands, when we say 7 Gate, we're talking about Illuminati. We're talking about Zionists. People refer to them as Zionists. People refer to them as New World Order. People refer to them as deep state, shadow government. They are the shadow government, and they are the biggest crime ring in the world, on the planet right now. They are the biggest crime ring. So when you're talking about false flags or anything like Grenfell, you know, on the scale that it's on, it could only have happened. Things like that, this just don't happen. Accidents, as I said before, accidents do not look like that. So this special report, along with the other one, is there to deliver hard factual evidence. So for the purposes of time, I want to start with looking into the satanic element. Now, when we say Grenfell Tower was a ritualistic sacrifice, to a lot of people, they're going to cringe and they're going to go, oh my God, where's this going? It's horrible. No, no, no. It was incompetence. It was negligence. It was not. It was a satanic terror attack by a satanic group. That's what you have to accept. And that's what you have to look at the evidence. And if this is a fact, it's a fact. You know, whether you like it or whether people find it disturbing, disgusting, that's what we have to deal with. We have to deal with the reality. If we're going to get justice and we're going to pursue justice, we need to look at all of the evidence and see what we're factually dealing with. So I'm going to start with a couple of people who have also been highlighting what happened at Grenfell Tower. So like a highlight on my face. Is that better, Ramona? I don't know.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
It's like bleaching my face. Okay, so I'm going to go into this first video, which is on a channel called Understanding the Matrix. So we're going to go into the share. So you're not going to see me. You're going to watch a couple of videos, and then I'm going to come back to you and show you some more evidence. Okay, so first we share. Okay, so we're going to go here. You can see this okay, Ramola?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so this is a channel, first of all, just so that anybody can go and watch the whole thing, because I'm only going to play extracts. I'm not going to play the whole thing. But it's a channel called Understanding the Matrix. And I recommend that you listen to what this woman says. They're bringing an element of experience and knowledge in this situation, which will help us to really understand what took place at Grenfell. As horrific as it is, we have to deal with the facts. So let's listen to this. So first, this.
So it came to me last night. I was looking in the mirror. It was just after I'd been in the bath. The tower fire was a Illuminati sacrifice to the god Bel. Now, the god Bel came into my mind because Bel is the god of the sun, and obviously the tower burning took place 7 days before the summer solstice, which is the absolute peak of the sun's power in the sky. 7 days would be an interesting time for two reasons. One is that it's good to have the whole coverage, if you like, and the whole emotional reaction of the fire to be within the sweep of the sun's majority. So in other words, the sun is still gaining at that time because then it's harnessing the power of the energy. And then secondly, of course, 7 being a very, very significant number for the Book of Revelations and the end times and the apocalypse, which is what these people think of things.
So I want to stop it right there, because she flags up 7 being a very significant number to these people. Now, obviously, my name is 7, and I'm at the center of the persecution, abuse, and have been for 14 years by this crime ring who targeted me for my intellectual property. They've been running a surveillance operation against me. For the most part, for many years, I didn't understand what was going on. But as time has been going forward and I've gathered evidence, I start to understand that these people have some twisted idea in regards to my name being Seven. So that's a big reason why they have been hounding me and targeting me in the way that they are, because obviously I represent love, truth, justice, love of the divine, respect for the Most High, love for the Most High, love for humanity. And obviously with the Satanists, they have the opposite. They hate humanity. They have contempt for humanity. They hate anything to do with the divine principles. They hate truth. They're all about murder, death and destruction. It's a death cult. Whereas I'm about love, life, freedom, respect for one another, looking after one another. So because they owe me so much money and I won this massive case against them, they have put this whole evil targeting operation on me, stalking me. It's been crazy. And so this is why I've had to become very vocal and talk about this and bring it to the spotlight. So it's interesting that this lady, I don't know her name, but she flags up the whole thing with Seven. So although she's not aware of my case, she actually is flagging up that she recognizes that there is something behind them doing it. I didn't even know until I watched this that it was 7 days before the summer solstice. Also, it's on the 14th, which is 2 sevens. So there is a lot of rituals going on here. So anyway, we're going to continue. I just wanted to make that point. So here we go. We're going to listen to a bit more.
Okay.
That's what came to me last night. And what's then come to me this morning is that obviously there's a tower, there's a burning, there's a ritual sacrifice, there's a link to 9/11. So I wondered numerology-wise if there is a link numerologically. I'm not very good at numerology, but 9/11, the Americans do it backwards, which is confusing to me because 9 is the month and then 11 was the date. So if you put the date the London thing happened, that's 14-16. And in numerology, the double numbers are negated and you add them up to make a single number. So what you'd have there, the 6 would remain 6, and the 14 would become 1 plus 4. So 1 plus 4 is 5, and then 5 plus 6 is 11. So you've got an 11 in there. I don't know about the rest of it. This is something people can look into. Obviously, this date was important to the Illuminati because there was also the incident where the person in America was shot, who was a congressman, and various other people died. Now, this tower incident that took place here in London, what was very significant was that the way it was presented, people were thinking of it purely as an accident rather, and it's not being presented as a terrorist attack, obviously. But what seems very significant is that there does seem quite a lot of evidence that there's a very large number of people killed. And the other thing that's significant is that the sun god Bel may have in the past, in fact did in the past, there was a very strong positive connection with positive groups, particularly the Celtic groups. But then I think that there is a connection, and it's very confusing with all the gods, but between this god Bel and the god Baal. Now, the god Baal is definitely the Babylonian god, who is the origin of the sort of Egyptian mystery schools, which the Illuminati like to put in all of their stuff, and it's definitely very much the origin of the Luciferian or the sort of flowering, if you like, of the Luciferian philosophy. So we've got Baal. Baal is also the devil and also the Antichrist, and also the god that the Canaanites gave burnt offerings to. And the burnt offerings, the strongest burnt offerings on children. Now, we've got a slightly different block of flats here than the 9/11 block of flats, because this block is not, it's not part of the financial system, it's not part of people working, it's actually ordinary families. So my feeling is that there will be probably a lot of children amongst those, and so that's significant for this particular sacrifice.
Okay, so I'm going to stop it there. I want to flag up two things. She referenced the shooting that took place in America on the same day, which was actually Alexandria. It was a congressional, and there was a shooting. And now that was to flag up Dame Helen Alexander, who is also a key ringleader. She's a Bilderberg, and I'll show you some evidence about that. She's a Bilderberg, and this was her showing that she was behind it as well. So, okay, so we're going to come away from this clip and we're going to go to another clip before I start to show you some evidence. More evidence, I should say. I want you to listen to this man now. Now, this is a channel called Mr. Catty here, YouTube channel. You can go on, and the video is called The Grenfell Tower Burnt Offerings Observation. Okay. So let's have a listen to what he says.
I'm now covering the Grenfell Tower fire. It happened on the 14th, and I label this burnt offerings because, unlike any most typical sacrifice, blood sacrifice, this one denotes high numbers. The numbers are indicative of the level of seriousness that the ritual offering represents. Now, the sheer fact that so many people are suspected dead in this fire, dead, many would have, of course, succumbed to the smoke first and would have been rendered unconscious, but that the flames would eventually consume their bodies and they would have been burned alive. And for as many people to have lost their lives, and for a conspiracy to exist surrounding the true number of dead, and for the general public to be upset, they have a right to be. But there are things going on here that go far beyond typical corruption, things not being fixed, that would lead to negligence. This is much more. This was a burnt ritual offering, and because of the high numbers of victims being offered, denotes an offering to a deity in a major way. And they communicated a message in terms of why they sacrificed so many. Because if you sacrifice this many, they have coded into the ritual sacrifice itself through the code that's in the structure and in the fire and everything. They've coded what they want. And what they want is to ensure their success against Trump. And they're fearful. So fearful that this serious representation, how serious they're willing to go, that it was a message, nonetheless, being sent back to Trump and the other world players, because it's only going to get worse, not better. This Grenfell Tower fire is the biggest, largest by scale human sacrifice burnt offerings where the victims died by fire that I've seen in quite some time. I think of 911, the Twin Towers, when many victims, rather than stay in the building to their deaths. That's the same kind of scenarios that are in play here. So I wanted to do this intro to merely set the stage. I'm going to show and give a little discussion on some events so that they're firm in your mind. And then I'm going to move on to some things to get into presenting the code, because the code first has to be presented from what the public, that means anybody, me, you, or anybody can go out there right now and do a Google search and you would be shown certain things relative to this incident. You would be told certain facts, such as there's 24 floors. There are certain elements of facts in this event where all the elements of code are, and when I show it to you, you'll understand why my comments about this being a large-scale ritual offering involving burnt offerings, human sacrifices, killed by fire, burned alive by fire, signals a very serious evil request of their demonic deity. Be no benevolent deity that any group should have to sacrifice babies or innocent victims to. And so this has to be some demonic type of entity being sacrificed, where the sacrifices are given to it by those obvious demon worshippers. So this, at this scale, the scale of this ritual sacrifice being a burnt offering is not to be underestimated. It is serious. That being said, let's get into the first chart.
Okay. Did you hear all that, Romola?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Did you want to make any comments before I go on to the next?
Well, it was interesting listening to both of them. I guess they both focused on slightly different aspects. One of the things she
Right.
mentioned that I thought was interesting was the fact that she mentioned that a large number of children were sacrificed, and that this was
Right.
kind of important for the particular date that she was looking at, which is
Right.
it was 7 days short of the summer solstice, and
Right.
child sacrifice has some significance in that
Right. I'm trying to come
landscape
back
of
to you.
dates.
Sorry, I'm trying to come back to you so that I can talk
Oh,
to you face to face, but I can't seem to find the actual.
up sharing button, I think somewhere.
Yes, it could be, but it's not. It's either.
Oh, there you are. I see you.
Can you see me now?
Yes.
All right. Okay. Yeah. So continue. What were you saying? You were saying that you were referencing that there were a lot of children.
Yes, because she seemed to bring up a few special significances, and one of them was the fact that the Baal was the sun god in Babylonian mythology, and he's the one being sacrificed to, and because of the closeness to the summer solstice, when the sun is at its height of its power, and that child sacrifice is very important around this date. I guess she's talking about the satanic calendar and the Satanist view of reality, which seems to think that sacrificing kids and humans is a perfectly okay thing to do, which of course it blows everybody else's minds.
I mean, what kind of mindset are we talking about here? We're talking about people who not only perpetrated this deliberately, premeditated, it was plotted, it was planned. I mean, as we go through the evidence, and they've put it in your face that this is Satanism. It's in your face. It's so in your face that you it's like, I see it, because people don't want to believe that there are people that evil on this earth. People don't believe. I mean, when I got targeted by this crime ring, I could not believe that there were people as evil as these people in existence.
Yes.
I mean, when we talk about evil, I had no concept of what evil was until I came across this whole situation where I have been targeted by these serial killing nutcases. You know, they don't understand that love is the highest vibration. They seem to have perverted the form of love. Now, what we also have to understand by what these people are saying, and I recommend that everybody have a look at those videos, and there are more. If you just type in Grenfell satanic sacrifice, you're going to get a whole lot, or psyop or false flag or whatever. It was definitely a terrorist attack, and that terrorist attack was by Satanists, just like all the other false flags. Now, you mentioned today that there was one 2 days ago. You said there was one.
Oh, right, in Hamburg. Yes, in Hamburg there was. The news article was in BBC just now that I noticed, but it came up yesterday, July 29, in Hamburg. A young man stabbed a few people, and it was first reported there were 7 casualties. Today's news from the BBC says 1 killed and 6 injured. So,
yeah, you'll notice that it was always 7. You know, there's always a 7 in there mixed somewhere. This is why they are referred to as the 7-gate crime ring. Now, my case was called 7 versus Gossage and 9 others. And the 9 others are high ringleaders that are in mainstream media. They are in intelligence agencies. They are they are lawyers, people who call themselves super lawyers. So we're talking a whole lot of law firms are involved in this evil, and there are some judges, that have been covering up for this crime. And obviously, when you're talking about a crime on this scale, they are being covered up by the state because they run slave trading. What they did to me was a covert slave trade. They tried to use me as some form of slave. Everything that I was doing is being sold. My computers are being hacked, and my work is being given to Illuminati artists. And, they're making literally millions and billions and trillions off my work. And because I want to be credited and paid, they're trying to kill me. I mean, who does that? Who does that in an ordinary world? Who does that?
It's not normal at all. It's absolutely abnormal, and it's absolutely bizarre. And it kind of points to how criminal these people are, where criminality is the norm for them. This kind of theft is the norm.
Absolutely. And an important point to mention as well is that there are police officers involved in this. This is why nobody will be arrested. Yeah. The only time somebody will be arrested is when we, as the people, start making serious noise and start telling it like it is. As ugly as it is.
And speaking out against it. And now that you mentioned the police, Seven, it's also perhaps wise to remind ourselves that we're talking about very ancient secret societies and cults. And I think you named them earlier, right? They could be called the Illuminati or shadow government or the deep state or whatever. It's a whole bunch of old boy networks and secret societies that have come up over time and infiltrated all of our organizations, have been running our organizations from the inside.
Right.
And, and appear to be in control of our society. But clearly this is not something that normal people would condone. So it's something to remind ourselves.
Right. The other thing is that we have to also remember that they're terrified. This is a crime that warrants capital punishment, because we're talking crimes against humanity. We're not talking corporate management.
Absolutely. These are crimes against humanity. If you just have to look at Grenfell Tower to see what it is, what's happening. That's a very vivid explication and illustration of a desperate crime against humanity.
Absolutely. And what we're talking about is a crime ring that knows they've perpetrated atrocities on such a horrific scale. I mean, Grenfell Tower is just one of many. We're talking false flags, 7/7, 52 people they said at that time was killed. We're talking shooting of John Charles Menendez, innocent Brazilian man. We're talking, we've got...
the Seven Sisters Road attack.
Road, London Bridge, Manchester, Boston bombings. I mean, and all of those, you will see that they actually put their information in plain sight.
Nice, Orlando, Fort Lauderdale. I mean, they've been doing it all around the country, in the US and all around Europe as well, and all around London.
Right, of course.
Okay.
And so, we have to remember that when people say, oh, they feel fearful for talking and reporting or whatever, because they don't want to tell the truth, because they think, oh, if you tell the truth, it gets blah, blah, blah. We have to remember, put things into its proper place. What they've done is 100 times, billion times worse than speaking the truth. Speaking the truth is just talking the facts. How can you compare speaking the truth to actually what these people have done? There's no comparison. Innocent people are being murdered. Everybody has a responsibility. We need the Nat Turners of today to stand up. We need the Harriet Tubmans of today to stand up. We need the nannies of today to stand up. We need the Malcolm X's and Martin Luther King's, the Gandhis of today. Stand up and be counted and speak the truth. There's a 7-gate crime ring that is perpetrating atrocities. If you don't, there is going to be another Grenfell. You know, we know they have no remorse about Grenfell. That's why they've done another false flag yesterday or the day before. We've heard that there's been a young man, something Charles, has been choked to death in London. You know, when are you going to realize that unless you stand up, literally in the hundreds and millions of people have to now stand up, all of you who have channels, stand up and bring this to the public, that we want this crime ring to be shut down. That's what has to happen. So, okay, so we're going to go now to some more evidence, if that's okay with you, Romola.
Oh, absolutely. That was powerful, Seven. And you're right. We need people to stand up and recognize that mainstream media, by the way, has not just failed us, it's in the hands of the perpetrators.
Absolutely. They completely control mainstream media.
Yes, it's completely controlled, and therefore we can't look to them for news. We have to look to the channels of people who are trying to analyze and trying to speak out and trying to present the truth as it is presenting itself to us.
We are the news reporters, because you're not going to get the truth from mainstream outlets. They've been completely taken over. Not only have they completely been taken over, in their satanic doctrines, Talmud, you've got the protocols of the elders of Zion, you've got the the secret covenant, that's another one. Okay. But within all these doctrines, they make it clear that they do not believe in truth. It's their religion is to lie. Their religion states that they must lie.
Deception
is still. How can you possibly still be watching that media that is perpetrating this? They're not reporting it because they don't know the evidence. No, they're involved. They're involved in this, and this is what you have to understand. So that leads me on to some very crucial evidence. Now, bear with us here, because once we start bringing out evidence, we know what happens. They start trying to shut us down. They did it to us earlier on today, and so bear with us, people. We will get the evidence to you, but just bear with us. If it goes frozen, stay with us, because this is so important for everybody to understand and report on. Okay, so we're going to go back. I'm going to share screen again. Right, so, the first thing I want to do is to go into, now, which one is the first one? Is it this one?
Wow.
Okay. Right, okay. This is CNN, right? I'm going to show you what your media networks are here.
Oh boy,
okay.
CNN.
So it says, Satanists feel we should proudly admire this most precious human capacity without the need of mythological figures distancing intermediaries. Okay, so this is a I don't know if you saw that, okay, Romola, but I want to go, let's see if I can go to the beginning. This is, okay, so let's get it a little bit bigger. This is CNN, all right?
Okay, very interesting.
Right, okay, so let's look, CNN is there. And this article is with Lisa Ling. 5 things you didn't know about Satanists. And this was December 2015. And okay, this is Trisha Escobedo, CNN. Okay, so this article is featuring, it's basically saying that they're Satanists and there's nothing wrong with it. It's all good. You know, this is the news network that you're going to, all right, for your news. Let me show you another, because for the purposes of time, I'm going to try to be a little bit faster today. No, okay.
So that article kind of valorizes Satanists as normal?
Yes, it does. It basically, yeah, this one, when you read this, you can actually go on to the website and see this.
Okay, I
All you
will.
have to do is put in satanic rituals, and basically CNN will come up. And
Okay.
you know, you'll start to be able to connect the dots, because if you remember last time, I flagged up that Lord Grenfell
Right.
satanic ritual to Lord Grenfell, who was of the Associated Press. Okay, so let's look at some more information. When you think that, okay, so let me make it bigger so there could be no argument about what was written here. When you think Satanism, images of pierced black-clad youth gathering at night, listening to hardcore death metal music and sacrificing animals might come to mind. But you might be surprised to learn that many Satanists are a lot more interested in community activism and individual freedoms than heavy metal and performing bizarre rites. Here are a few things you might not know about Satanism.
Wow.
Most Satanists are not devil worshippers. So basically, what we're seeing in this article is the news network that a lot of people still go to. It's basically they're promoting Satanism openly.
Correct. Yes, openly. This is an apologist article. This is an apologia for Satanism.
Yes, it's somebody that actually. But the thing is, what they're doing here, they're trying to glorify it and sexify it up to make it appealing. They're saying, "Oh, it's not pierced, black-clad youth gathering at night listening to," when it's actually worse than that. They are killing people in plain sight. So,
yes.
okay, so let me see if I can get another one, because there were some really interesting things written. Most Satanists aren't devil worshippers. Surprisingly, most card-carrying Satanists do not worship Satan or any other form of the devil. They are actually atheists. Church of Satan, founded in the mid-60s. Okay. Church of Satan puts the individual at the center of the universe. I mean, this whole thing is trying to...
This is very odd, this entire article, to tell the truth.
The whole thing is basically trying to make Satanism appealing to the average person. So, but we know, if you look at the Talmud, lying is the first thing that they do. Which Satanism does not worship Satan? Which Satanist does not worship? I mean, is that even logical to you?
Why?
This is just
why call themselves
lies.
Satanists?
It says Satan to us is a symbol of pride, liberty, and individualism. This is what we're dealing with. So anybody who doesn't think that Satanism is at the heart of what we're dealing with, you need to really open your eyes. Okay, so I want to show you some more things. Okay, so as we're talking about the media, let's go into Jimmy Savile. It says clearly, this 13th of January 2013, Jimmy Savile was part of a satanic ring. This was Sunday, January 13th, 2013. And it says, it's an article by James Fielding. Jimmy Savile, who was a Satanist, beat and raped 12-year-old during secret satanic ritual in a hospital. This is what these people do. So basically, the perverted star wore hooded robe and mask as he abused terrified victim in a candlelight basement. He also chanted "Hail Satan" in Latin. Other paedophile devil worshippers joined in as they joined in and assaulted the girl. I think it's in Stoke. Is it Stoke Newington, or I don't know? It's Stoke something.
It's a hospital.
Yes. This is what we're talking about. This is why you have to understand. All right. Let's look at something else now. Okay, because you need to understand that this is at the heart of what we're talking about. So, okay, this is basically an article by Helena Horton, 27th of January 2015. Is your area the satanic capital of Britain? Okay. And then they show you all these different areas all around the UK, Sheffield, Rotherham, you know, all these different areas all over the UK, which basically they're flagging up as completely satanic. Can you see the demon in the center there? You can make
Yes,
it.
absolutely.
These are mainstream newspapers that are showing you, and it says, look at it. We've looked. Okay, let me make.
Well,
this
you
a little
know,
bit
there's
bigger.
also in the US, there's a big move to bring Satanism onto campuses, university campuses.
It is already in university
And they
campuses.
are in the university campuses, right? But they make a big deal out of asserting their rights.
Yes,
be
if you look at the case of the St. Martin's preschool, which was a massive, horrific case showing that preschool children were exposed to satanic rituals. They had bleeding rectums. They had to participate in cutting the heads of babies. And then this was consistent with the Hampstead case, you know, which has been, the St. Martin's preschool case has been flagged up recently by a call for uprising. You can go on to there, or you can go to my liked videos. I've put it on there. But that's a horror story of mammoth proportions, and showing how they manage to make sure that these cases do not go to court and that they get ridiculed. I mean, this is how the whole satanic panic thing came about, where basically they'll twist the media, they'll use the media to downplay what's happening and to ridicule it as if everybody's a conspiracy theorist and these things are not reality. However, you start to see evidence. We looked at which areas of the UK have the highest concentration of Jedi Satanists and more. Satanists, sorry. So basically, this is a mainstream newspaper. I believe this is the Daily Mirror. It's got an M here, which is the logo for Daily Mirror. So if it isn't, I apologize, but I believe it is. And so there you have another mainstream newspaper boldly telling you that that's what is going on in the UK. But
it's also presenting it as if it's very much the norm.
Absolutely. Because in their mind, it is very much the norm. So, okay, so we're going to go back to Grenfell. And, you know, I just wanted to show clearly Satanism is big worldwide. In the UK is a tiny island, right? So you can imagine there's a massive concentration of Satanists, you know, in this country. This is why there is also a really big report by the United Nations against the UK for breaches of human rights to the people here. So these are the people that you have allowed to appoint somebody to manage a public inquiry. You know, this is the thing. Most of the people who have afforded power to people in the government have not questioned who are really these people. There's a video, if you go on to Richie Allen's show, he's got a video about Theresa May's background and her father being involved in serial killing and pedophilia and all kinds of cult stuff. You know, that's in Richie Allen's show. You can just type on, go into YouTube search and watch that video. And it talks about her background and a lot of it being removed from public knowledge because most people have said that it is consistent with all of these things. If you look at David Cameron's background, his ancestors owned slaves. You know, if you call these people government, but you don't know who they are. And this is the thing. We're in a situation where you have given your power over to people. To me, I don't know how much of the people, there's probably people in the government that don't know what's going on. Right. You know, what we do know is that this crime ring is definitely being covered up. Okay, so let's look at this one now. Slavery becomes big business in the UK. Now, that's really important. This is an article which was in Sky News, okay? And this was in May, the 4th of May, 2014. Now, they're showing you that they're making big money out of slavery. And what the people in Grenfell were considered as stock. In other words, slaves. And this is why they're stage managing. They're treating people like children. You know, they've appointed somebody to investigate this horrific crime, which was a terrorist attack on everybody. The trauma felt by people having to watch that, let alone us who have got family members in there. The trauma for everybody had to witness that this thing happened was on everybody, right? And so this is basically them doing it in plain sight. And then they have the mind control going on to tell you that this was not terrorism, that this was just an accident. You know, this is what is so sickening about all this. So when we see this, slavery becomes big business in the UK. Slavery has been big business for a long time. Now, during the transatlantic slave trade, one of the things they used to do was they used to throw the actual captured war victims of war, because that's what they did. They went into places in Africa and they captured people, and they put them on ships and threw them overboard and claimed on insurance. The same very thing is happening with Grenfell Tower, and that's very, very important, because when you have to understand that this was part of a satanic ritual, then you have to factor in the monetary side. What is really going on there? So let's look at what's going on here. Okay, so let's look at something called corn dollies. Okay, now let me show you what a corn dolly is. Okay, this is very important that you understand this. Corn dollies were traditionally corn spirits. It's basically part of a ritual. I find it here somewhere. Corn dolly often had place of honor in high harvest banquet table. At the high harvest. Okay, so let me just make sure that you can all see this. This is very important that you understand this, because they've been doing this in your face and you can't even see it. So corn spirit, which is what is a corn dolly. So you see these heart-shaped things, right? Okay, so let me get some more information about a corn dolly, what a corn dolly is. Harvest, it's really done at harvest rituals and ceremonies. So basically, whenever there's a harvest, they put these corn dollies out. Now have a look at this. Okay. All right, so where is it now? 1 second, let me find you. There's a corn dolly. Can you see it?
Oh, wow.
So this is basically the symbol for Grenfell Tower, where they've gathered all these people together and they've put a corn dolly there. Now, corn dolly is a ritual. When they do a ritual sacrifice, it is a symbol of great harvest.
Oh my
to
goodness.
come. Yeah, this is in your face.
Yes.
This is in your face, you know. And no, so let's look at the harvest now. How is the harvest played out? Okay, so we're going to look at how this harvest, how these people are being harvested. Just to show you a few more corn dollies. These are corn dollies. So it's part of the banquet. There you see. Can you see?
Yes, yeah. Even the shape, it's that heart shape.
Yes. And so that's what they had all over the Grenfell. All of a sudden they've got, I thought, what is that? Why is that there? Only to find out it's a corn dolly. Okay. And so I want to try to find you the meaning of corn dolly, because it's part of paganism.
Yeah, it sounds so. It's an English thing. Is it an English
thing? And actually, it is also goes back to the KKK. A lot of their things is to do with corn dollies as well. That, you know, a lot of the hangings and killings I've discovered is to do with, according to what I've read. I haven't read the whole thing, but let me show you.
There's connections with that pagan significance then.
Absolutely. And it is really, really, really horrific. Once you start getting deep into this thing and you start looking into, so, okay, so this is the harvest. Now we know harvest is when you plant your corn. Obviously there was a lot of Horn killed in that building, because it was hundreds and hundreds of people. This is why they're keeping the numbers down. If over 600 people lived in that building and they're not to be accounted for, we can only assume that they're all dead, including my aunt and my cousin. They were murdered in this ritualistic sacrifice. Okay, so check this out. They say the Grenfell Tower insurance bill could be Europe's biggest ever. I showed you this in last.
Right. Yes, we briefly talked about it.
Yes, we had to rush through it, but you can see that it says it's going to be as high as £1 billion. So, okay, so let's follow the money, because it's important to follow the money when you're dealing with these types of things.
Yes, and see who the money is going to be paid out to, who gets
Absolutely. So let's look at this now. The company that put the cladding on, they are now got the scoop of 65 million. This is since Grenfell, 20th of June. So obviously somebody's very happy with what the cladding company did, because they've been awarded another contract. Radian is in line to scoop 65 million development partner contract for the redevelopment of a housing estate in Ealing.
This is very odd, because even if you looked at Grenfell Tower as an issue related to the cladding, then this company should be hauled over the coals or sanctioned in some way.
They should be in jail. They should be in jail. Every single one of them that ordered this to happen should be in jail. But what's happening?
Not being handed new contracts for millions of dollars or pounds.
65 million. You tell me who is going to give, look what it says here. Who is going to give a contract to somebody? Let's say it was your house, okay? And they ended up doing a bodge job, and everything went, burned down or whatever. Would you call them in again and say, tell all your friends, oh, they should be awarded a contract? Look at what it says here. It confirmed that CN,
my goodness,
that Radian has been chosen as the preferred development partner for High Lane Estates contract, but that no deal had yet. Okay.
Preferred development contract.
Okay. High Lane Estates contract would be the second development partner deal struck between Radian Ealing Council on major regeneration after Radian's 50-50 joint venture with A2 Dominion Regeneration won 155 million revamp of Green Man Lane Estate pictured. Okay, so basically this article said Grenfell Tower was a job well done, according to all these people who have appointed to give them 65 million. So what does that tell you? Something very, very, very sinister.
That's very odd. What is that? Could you just focus on that one sentence that mentions Grenfell again?
Okay.
What exactly does it say?
Okay, so do you want to go back to this one or the one before?
The last one that you were talking about, there it mentions Grenfell, Ryden and Grenfell.
Okay, it says Ealing Council is currently providing support to Grenfell Fire humanitarian effort. So you have to turn that around, because if Ealing Council want this company who burnt Grenfell Tower down,
right,
to be involved in their new developments, it shows you that they were very happy with what took place at Grenfell.
Right.
Including providing staff to the assistance centre established at the Westway Sports Centre and to the London-wide Grenfell Fire response team. Which response team? The only government that we saw was the people. The shining stars in the Ladbroke Grove, Latimer Road community who banded together, the people who came and donated from their own pockets, most of which nothing has been given to the Grenfell victims, is what the evidence.
Yes, and it sounds like this Ealing Council which is in this news article, primarily by reason of the staff and assistance it's providing to the Grenfell Tower humanitarian effort, is confirming to the whatever news outlet this is, that Riden is being given a new contract in their area. So there's perfect awareness that Riden was involved in the Grenfell Tower fire.
Well, they were the ones that put the cladding on the building.
Correct. Yeah. So there's perfect awareness of that, and despite that, they are very boldly and openly offering contracts to Riden and stating it publicly.
Yes, ha ha ha, we killed.
Yeah, while at the same breath attempting to present some kind of facade operation whereby they're providing staff and providing assistance to the Grenfell Tower humanitarian effort.
Yes, which is a load of we know what. Okay, so let's look at this now.
This is like the Satanists being involved in community activism.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what it said, didn't it, on CNN? So now we have, it says, Riden has been working with MOD, which is Ministry of Defense, for several years as a partner on the Aspire Defense Capital Works through the Allenby Connaught Framework, the largest infrastructure private finance initiative project ever led by the Ministry of Defense. It says, our role has been to support Aspire Defense in the modernization, reprovision of significant number of military facilities around Salisbury Plain. Okay, so we see this company Riden again. Now here we see they've won in excess of 50 million of work on over 25 projects, 7 again, through the framework, all of which have been delivered on live operational military basis. Okay.
So this is a huge, huge defense contractor that already has an in with the government.
Right. Okay. Now this is brought to us by, I think it's Annie Logical. She's awesome. She has a YouTube channel and she does a lot of investigative reporting. There's a number of people out there who have done some brilliant research. And if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have so much evidence. But there's an overwhelming amount of evidence to state that not only was it premeditated, that we're talking about a deep satanic ritual, because all of these organizations have been taken over. So let's look at who's in the intelligence agencies. Let me show you, I want to show you a couple of things.
But it's really the height of corruption to congratulate a development contractor that has just been involved and has been implicated in a massive fire, just on the basis of the cladding.
Murder of countless people, hundreds of people, publicly executed.
Yes, exactly. So this is mass murder in public, and yet the contractor is not in any way being sanctioned or prosecuted, but is being rewarded.
Not at all. And you people out there are playing along with it by not talking about this, right? This is a video which
I think that is a huge
it's designed to free you. It's designed to help you. So let's look at this. Let's look at speed through. Okay, so this woman is obviously part of my case. We know her. She used to work originally for the BBC and SMG, which is, they changed their name from SMG, Scottish Media Groups, to Scottish TV after being found guilty in my case. So blatant identity fraud. Now you will see here, let's look at her clearly. This woman who was working in the BBC and Scottish Media Groups, if you remember the email from Richard Hanna that I showed you in the first special part of this special report, it showed you clearly that I was to meet this woman, Helen Alexander. But here she says Helen Alexander began her career in publishing at Faber and Faber before moving to the Economist Group in 1985. That's very key, because where we saw the world in 2017 and we saw the tower in flames, it was done by these people here. She was managing director of Economist Intelligence Unit. So she's telling you that she's working for intelligence units, okay? Chief executive of organization till 2008, until she stepped down to become Britain's first president of CBI, Britain's leading trade body. That is code for trading human beings. That's what she's in the business of. Here is in the business of trading human beings, slavery. And that is what Grenfell, that is what is behind Grenfell. The harvest time is to collect the money from all the dead bodies which were killed in that atrocity. So let me show you some more stuff. I just showed you this Helen Alexander. Let me show you this is all the media networks that they've taken over. Any of you watching these TV networks, you need to understand, taken over by the 7 Gate criminals. You have to understand this, okay? So we're talking all the major networks are all in the know of what happened at Grenfell Tower. Okay, they're not going to report it. They're going to make you regurgitate that they've tried to prettify the building, and that's why they put the cladding onto the building. This is the original building so that everybody can see it. Okay, this is Grenfell Tower. You trying to tell me that only 80 people died in this huge tower block? Look how many windows. Look how there's 24 floors. I can't remember exactly how many flats were in each floor, on each floor.
I think that would be an interesting detail to understand.
Yeah, I actually have that evidence, but I just can't bring it to, because I have so much crammed in my mind right now. Sorry?
We can find that out. We can discover.
Yeah, that's easy to find out. So let me show you another thing that you need to understand. They are selling licenses to these satanic terrorist mobsters so that they can enslave you. This is basically a gang master's licensing code practice for gang masters, supplying workers to the agricultural, horticultural, shellfish gathering industries.
I'm amazed at that word, gang master. That sounds medieval.
Yes, so basically, you've got the gang stalkers who target individuals like myself and yourself and many other people all over the world.
All around the world, yes.
There are millions of us who have been targeted. Some of us are targeted for the intellectual property, like me, and some people are being targeted
for activism, and some are just being targeted, as you say, for use.
There's all different types of targeting, and that's a show that we can do in future. But for now, we want to focus on what's going on with the Grenfell situation. Now, Grenfell, what the evidence shows is that that building had been targeted. Obviously, in relation to Lord Grenfell, who was a Europhile, whatever that means, anything with a file on the end to me is very, very suspicious.
Yes, so, they definitely.
Right. So basically, what you're seeing here is a license so that these gang mobsters can target you, kill you, whatever they want to do to you, and they'll have immunity. They'll have immunity. They will not have to face any form of prosecution or anything. And that is what this... So basically, these people are paying certain rogue factions of the government a certain amount of money. Maybe it's annually, like a mafia money payment. And then they can get on with it and do exactly what they want. That's what this licensing is for, okay? And you have to understand that, because it means that these people can kill, maim, torture, and put it in your face. And they put it in your face. This is them putting it in your face. This is what they put out. And this same woman runs this magazine, if I can find it. Where's it gone? Where's it gone? Where's it gone? Okay. Is London killing you? Ha, ha, ha. Survive modern craziest city. All right. So crime special. Why we love guns and drugs. Okay. So this is just before. Oh, this is after 7/7. So after they perpetuated the 7/7 atrocities, they put this out. Is London killing you? Ha, 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 ha. We just killed all those people and nobody's done anything. And I've been flagging it up Tony Farrell's been flagging it up. Lots of people have been flagging it up, but the public have not been getting behind us in enough numbers. So where we see again, we see the ritual from Illuminati, one eye being signaled to indicate that it's Illuminati. Who runs this magazine? Only the Seven Gate Crime Ring, Helen Alexander, once again. Now, during the actual Hillsborough, this is a side note quickly. I don't know, how much time have we? Because I want to make sure I get
everything. My little timepiece stopped, so I have to look at my clock. And it looks like we may be a little over an hour, possibly.
Okay, so I'm going to try to speed through this so that we can wrap it up. With half an hour and a half is good. If we can get to that, that would be brilliant. So I was going to show you, look, this is the Sun newspaper, right? This was during Hillsborough. 25 years after they know they killed those people, the truth is we lied. Happen with the Grenfell in 30 years, if you allow it. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And this is what they do. You know, they just perpetrate these atrocities, destroying the families, and it's all basically that people are, you know, lied about, smeared, abused in the most horrific way after we lose our family members. And then they continuously continue to abuse and torture us just so that they don't have to tell the truth. And then when it gets to the point where they think, oh God, there's too much truth out there now, they say, oh, sorry, we lied, which is what you're seeing in that article there. So let's look at this. This is after the 7 bombings. It said 7 explosions across London. Now, when you look at this, it shows you Tavistock, which is Tavistock Institute, where the think tanks of the Illuminati and all these psychopathic individuals that get together to plot these things. And then you've got Russell Square. Now, there's something in that Russell Square, because one of the key factors in the Seven Gate Crime Ring is called the Russells. They're basically a mafia group.
They're one of those 13 families, aren't they?
Yes. Well, there you go. Here, if you watch this, look at this. You'll see Russell solicitors, then you'll see Charles Russells. Then there's so many of these Russells people, and they are mafia. And what they've got, they've moved these people in. I just slowly bring it down so that you can see again. I put it in last ways. So she's the first ever chief in London, in Port of London Authority. So basically what you're talking about, she's the chief. She is the chief commander in these operations, along with this man here. All of these people here have key roles. Okay. Now this woman here, this firm here, Byman and Partners, Tamsin Allen and Jeffrey Byman, they're from the law firm called Byman and Partners. Now what has happened with all of these atrocities, they send in their super lawyers, and it's the people from the crime ring. Like, for instance, right now, I spoke at a couple of Grenfell inquiries recently, and they were telling me that the Byman and Partners have muscled in onto the Grenfell victims' families to basically they even tried to muscle in on me. This woman came up to me saying, oh, you know, I know a brilliant lawyer, and she used to work for Byman, but she's left them because they're really corrupt. And she thought I was going to buy it.
Oh, my goodness. You know, not knowing that you'd already had a run-in with the Bynmans.
She probably did know. They probably sent her in to me, because the woman was saying to me that the lawyer in particular, had left Bynmans. That was supposed to appeal to me. Oh, she was there, but she's not there anymore.
So she's not there, but the firm's still great, huh?
Well, I have been told by victims, victims, that they're actually sacrificing babies behind Byman and Partners. That's what's going on. And these are credible people. It's a lawyer that actually told me that they're sacrificing babies within Byman and Partners. And again, if you look at what is going on in all these satanic rituals, it's the same thing over and over again. So look, I showed you the Economist group was run by this woman. Okay, so let's look at a reminder of the world in 2017, which is her magazine here.
And just another reminder, Seven, that woman, Dame Helen Alexander, and the rest of the group, whose cameos you just showed us, are part of that group, the Scottish Media Group, who stole your intellectual property, right?
Right.
And whom you took to court and whom you won a huge settlement against. So that's who they are.
Right. And also the judge is dead.
Yeah.
This is the sort of thing that they do. If instead of paying people, you know, you've stolen my intellectual property. They invited me to a meeting, which is the meeting that I showed you in the email in the last report.
Right.
After I went to that meeting, she stole my documents and they chopped up my work and sold it in 126 countries. Then they started hacking my computers. They put a whole operation around where I live to steal literally everything that I do. To make my own clothes, I would go out with something I made. The next thing I know, I would see it on the front cover of a magazine with somebody else wearing it. You know, literally my whole life was turned into like a covert slave trade. And so now if you look at this has been flagged up by the, what is it? It's called Call for an Uprising channel. He talks about this lightning slash. It means it's
a directed energy weapon justifying the term?
It's actually to do with Satan. When you see that, actually that light is to do with the fallen angels. And they actually, it's in
Lucifer.
Yes, it's to do with Lucifer, this lightning strike. If you go on to Call for an Uprising, I can't remember, I was watching it the other day, because I didn't understand what this was doing there.
Okay.
Obviously, we've seen the fire and we've seen the tower.
Yeah.
We've seen Trump come in, and that happened on his birthday. And we've seen all the people uprising, you know, and shouting that Theresa May has to go and the system has to be shut down, etc., etc.
Yeah.
I didn't understand what this was until very, very recently, only a few days ago, this lightning strike, which is to do with it's to do with the fallen ones. It's their signature. So you see in a lot of satanic people, they have this lightning strike on their clothing lines, in their videos. If you look at a lot of Illuminati videos, you'll see this lightning strike appear again. So that's the signal to say that they were going to do it as well. Okay, so that's an Illuminati satanic symbol right there. So I want to show you this guy here. This guy here. Okay, this guy you see here, I think I might have showed you this before.
Yes, I've seen this before.
This is him. For people who haven't seen it, you have to understand the significance. This man is part of this satanic crime ring, and he does false flags. They stage them themselves. This is what is taking place right there. This man, Jim Manson, he's faking, pretending to be an eyewitness to a false flag that he is engineering himself with his TV network. Right? This is what these Satanists do. Now, this is what you have to understand when you see false flag and then you see a Muslim brother's name be flag up. You'll have to know that it's these same people. So if you look here, you'll see 5 in custody following terrorist attack. Can you see this here?
Yes, yeah.
So there it is, a stage attack, and there's Jim Manson. Now, he's part of the crime ring, the 7-Gate crime ring. He was found guilty in my case. He was supposed to go to prison along with Helen Alexander and all the people in the crime ring. So he says this is their TV network. Television producer Jim Manson was only 50 yards away when 2 terrorists tried to blow up the airport. Okay. Now, you'll see that they'll put Muslim brothers' faces on there saying it was Muslims. It says, country on highest terrorism alert following Glasgow's airport attack. But they're doing it themselves. This man is found guilty in my case. Okay? Now, if you want to listen to my courtroom audios, I recommend that you do. And this is them flagging up what they do. Okay, let me try to turn this around. Sorry, this is, it needs to be turned around so that you can see it. How do I turn it around? I'm not quite sure. Rotate. I need to rotate.
Yeah.
Okay, hang on. Can you do it that way? Okay, yeah.
There it is.
Just another. Yeah, just have to do it once more, I think. Yeah. Okay, so this is them again. Undercover London. Inside the city of smoke and shadows. They're showing it to you in your face.
Oh, wow.
They're showing it to your face and they're laughing at espionage issue. Marlowe, NI5, Phil B to Fleming, Palmer to Penfold, clandestine capital uncovered. Spook's secret dossiers revealed. So they're basically showing it to you in your face. They're laughing at all of you.
Yeah.
They're staging all of these things themselves, carrying out these crimes. Okay, so this is just to show you in terms of me. This is when they gave my name, right? And they called it Chasing Victory. This is what they called the album, a not so tragic cover-up.
And that was actually the story of how they kind of stole everything from you and made use of your work, your creative work.
Yes. And they use it to carry out crimes against humanity. This is why they have a warfare against me, because I'm trying to stop them. I'm trying to stop them. Let's look at Charlie Hebdo. This is the evidence of Charlie Hebdo. This is the meaning of Hebdo, right? You'll see it means 7. Can you see that there?
Right, yeah.
So Charlie Hebdo was a false flag that they did while I was exposing them on Alfred Weber's channel. Okay, and again, that they did another false flag then as well. So let me show you. I want to show you, bring it back to Grenfell because we don't have a lot more time, and I want to show you. This is okay. So just bear with me a minute. I'm trying to get. Okay, so this is a script. I showed you this in part 2 of my Grenfell.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Tell us a little more about that because you dedicated that to somebody special.
Okay. All right. So, okay. I don't know what's going on here. Rotate.
Oh yeah, just rotate it.
All right. Okay. So now I'm going to try to make it bigger. Okay. So this book called The Walk was dedicated to my very close friend who the story was about, Christine and Mark, 2 people that actually went on what we termed as a walk, which is to give up materialism. It was an amazing story, so I wrote about it. But I also put some chapters in there about Pops Vital. And what's key about this is Rachel and Pops Vital are the parents of Marjorie Vital that was killed in Grenfell Tower. And here is my script on the front cover. So it was stolen by Tamsin Allen, who calls herself a super lawyer. When anybody calls themselves a super lawyer, talking about a super criminal. These people are criminals of the highest order. And this is what they do. They perpetrate crimes against humanity. So have a look there. This is my same script that they stole, that was stolen by...
That is mind-blowing. How could they steal your script?
Yes, a lawyer.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I went to the lawyer after they stole my multimedia platform. And I had on the disc, I had a confidentiality agreement which I compiled because I realized that a lot of lawyers, what they do is that they
take your evidence.
Yes, they steal your evidence and they give it to the people that you're suing so that basically they know what you're going to bring to court. Okay, so I went there with the actual document, the confidentiality for her to sign on a disc. So that if she wanted to amend anything, because I thought, okay, I've written out a confidentiality agreement, but there might be passages in there that she doesn't agree with or whatever, to be fair. So I put it on the disc so that she could, say, okay, I want to change this, I want to change this. But what she did just during the meeting, she stole the disc and she went to Helen Alexander. This is Tamsin Allen here. Tamsin Allen. This woman, again, is...
That's absolutely shocking.
She was the one that they appointed to shut down the hacking scandal. Some of you might remember the Leveson inquiry scandal into hacking in the UK, which took down Rupert Murdoch's newspaper, News of the World. Now, this woman went in there. This is what they do. They carry out the crimes. When the victims come forward, they send in these lawyers who pretend to be ordinary, honest lawyers. But what these people do, they go in to hijack it. And that's what they're doing with Grenfell. So it's really important that you do not choose these lawyers. Russells, these are people that are involved in murdering the people inside Grenfell Tower. These people are Satanists. There has been reports that inside Byman and Partners, as I said, children, babies are being sacrificed. And it's not a joke. This is what is happening with sacrificing of children in the UK is widespread. This is why there's this article, as I've shown you before. It's showing you that all of the UK has been taken over by this type of activities now. It's viral. It's a virus all over the country, and it's up to us to shut it down. So this book that I wrote was stolen by Tamsin Allen, and it was dedicated to Rachel and Pops. And Marjorie Vital, who was in Grenfell Tower on the 16th floor, flat 162, just happens to be the daughter of who this book was dedicated against. So that's a very sinister twist in all of this.
Yes, and the other really interesting aspect is that Marjorie Vital was the subject of a whole newspaper article recently, wasn't she?
Yes, and flagged up with all the 9/11 stuff.
Yes. And she was one of the only victims at Grenfell Tower who had that kind of close detail paid to her.
Yes, and coverage. She was basically being singled out. And so this right now, when you look at this is an article, again, when I looked into the whole corn dollies, you'll see there's a farmer type of character here, and there's like the farmer, rich rural worker. And basically, when you type in corn dollies, which is what they use for their sacrifice, this came up. So it shows you clearly that dolly that is with the Simon Cowell thing.
Oh yeah. And you know that word harvest, by the way, it's been it occurred to me, the word harvest is also used in medical research, when these researchers make use of animals, for instance, and they do their gory research projects, for instance, with rats or mice or so forth, and they make the rats or mice pregnant, and then they kill them and they harvest the cells to study them.
Right. So look
at words that they use in that way.
Right. So you saw it said that with the insurance claim, it was going to be the biggest ever. Now you see here, Grenfell Tower charity single is to be the fastest selling single in 10 years, set for #1. So there you go. So this is what the harvest looks like. Everybody now is picking the remains of the dead, and they're basically using it to profiteer off the horrific murders of innocent people. Now we know that these people are not going to, the victims are not going to see a penny of that harvest. I want to show you some more things in relation to this whole harvesting thing.
Well, the insurance is one big aspect, and then the picture that you just showed, the artist for Grenfell and that corn doily, is another very obvious kind of usage, right?
Right. So if we look at this article, it talks about Project Britain, British Life and Culture by Mandy Burrow, corn dollies and other harvest traditions and customs. Making of corn dollies goes back thousands of years. It was a pagan custom and involved evolved from the beliefs of corn growing people who believed in the corn spirit. Okay, so this is what is part of the satanic practice, and as you've seen here, it's been going on for thousands of years.
Mhm.
It's just that we're living in a time where the veil is lifted, so we now see all of this in plain sight. So now let's look at some more evidence, whether this was premeditated or not, whether this was planned. Okay, so we see protests as London fire stations were all shut down. So this is 2014. Now, 2014, and you see this man who's absolutely beside himself in
Mhm.
tears because the fire stations are all being closed down.
Mhm.
Okay, so we see that there was applications for Grenfell Tower. There was all this activity. There was movies being put in productions about Grenfell Tower, dedicated to the Grenfell, Lord Grenfell. And then at the same time, they were closing down the fire stations. Okay, so I don't know how much more evidence people really need, to be honest with you. Okay, so that's another one. That's another one saying that the 10 fire stations, there were emotional scenes as fire stations across the capital closed their doors. Okay, so at the same time, all of these claddings, because we know that there are 30,000 tower blocks with the cladding that went up.
Now that's a very interesting little piece of information in itself. Is this the current situation, and is it the same kind of cladding across
It's
London?
exactly the same cladding. It's exactly, apparently. It's just going from the information. Now, one of the things I want to show you, because we want to wrap up very, very soon. So I want to just tie it into the Seven Gate crime ring again. So, okay, we have the Swiss company called Zurich, was named as the original insurer of Grenfell Tower.
Mhm.
Now, the thing about that differentiated themselves from the company, which was Protector Zuriching, I believe they're called. It's a very strange name.
Mhm.
I'm trying to see if I can see it on here.
Yeah,
It's
I think I did see it on the third line of that paragraph.
all right. Oh yes, Protector Forest King. There it is here. Okay. So basically, this company specializes in human casualties. That's the difference between them and Zurich. Now, an interesting thing to see is here we see Zurich. This is the Bilderberg list. Okay, list of the members. And this is Helen Alexander, the chairman, is on the Bilderberg list. And there you see Zurich Insurance Company.
Yes.
Again. So basically, that what you're looking at is a whole network of Bilderbergs that were involved in Grenfell. Do you see how clear it's becoming? You see? And there's just so much evidence of how sickening this is. I wanted to show you in particular, there's some information about the fire stations. I don't know if it's this one. Okay, so these are all the fire stations that they closed. Okay. All right, so this is a list of all the fire stations.
You know, you've given us so much information. Seven.
Yes.
I think really one would have to watch this video over again and look very closely at what you've shown us and
Yeah,
think
absolutely.
about it much further, because it's absolutely astounding.
Yes. So this is proposed fire station closures, and changes to engines. So we know that there was no fire engines properly to shut down, to take down the fire. Any excuse that they tell you now is a lie. Okay, this was engineered. Look, why would you close down all the stations in all the key areas? Closed. Look at this. And let's look at more. We're talking about right across the UK, all these fire stations have been closed down. Whoops, sorry, I keep flicking it over.
Yeah, so a very vital question would be, why were those fire stations closed down? And, you know, what is the relationship to the actual fires that were recorded in those vicinities?
Well, they had no, the fire people, said they didn't have any facilities to fight this fire, because not only they 2 fire engines to 1, they have a station open, they cut back all the resources.
Yeah.
So what, let's just add some common sense here. Okay, none of us are idiots. Who was going to actually do this? Do you think the people that are doing this want to prevent fires and then not put any sprinklers in the building? They closed the exits so that nobody could get out. They closed 2 exits from the building. So if we look at some of the facts in terms of what happened inside the building, there's people said that there were people undoing the pipes, the gas pipes, 2 days before. Okay, a lot of activity by the council 2 weeks before the fire, running up to 2 days before the fire, whereby the residents were told to stay inside their building. The residents had chosen zinc cladding. I want to try to show you some of this, if I can find it. Residents chose zinc cladding. Sorry, this is a side note because I'm just flagging up things that I find so that you can see. Okay, UN declares UK's austerity policies in breach of international human rights. But there's a damning report on the UK abusing the British people. It is a damning report by the United Nations, which was published. Okay, let me just okay, this is 29th of June 2016. Okay. So they're well known for actually abuse in this country. And this is the people that you've handed over to carry out a public, so-called public inquiry, a public inquiry which has nothing to do with the public. They've appointed their own people, they've selected their own people, they've decided what they're going to investigate, which is zero, nothing. Basically, how the fire started and what can prevent it. That is the scope of this inquiry, which has got nothing whatsoever to do with the people. And this is why we have to start getting real. People have to start getting real. We do not have effective government. The most we've seen of government is what the people in Grenfell, the community who manned themselves, who joined together and dealt with this situation. That is the closest thing that we've seen to resemble any form of government in these countries. And this is just everyday people who've got a heart, who've got a soul, who care about other people. That is the only government we've had. None of these people give a damn about the Grenfell situation. So, I want to show you this as well. This is the slave trade they've set up around me, just around me. That's not to mention all the other people. Can you see this?
Yes, there's something with your name on it.
Yes, 777 licensing company. So basically, they've put a whole operation around me to steal literally everything that I do. They hack my computers and they steal everything that I do, and they give it to their Illuminati artists to represent, to pass off as whoever they want my work to pass off as. Okay, you can see here it says 7 licensing company. And again, this is so they did 77, and this is the type of thing that they do. This is part of the ritual. So as they're actually carrying out these crimes in real time, they'll actually put a company to laugh in everybody's face. Ha, 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 we're killing you and we're making big money off you. Now, if you look at a lot of there's a lot of information to pass on in a short amount of time.
Yes, and I think we're well over at this point. So if we want to wrap it up, it might be.
Okay, this is just 1% of my shows. Okay, Stavery's still in the UK. And there's me, as you can see. And these are all famous TV shows. You will know Dancing with Stars, Strictly Come Dancing. If you look behind the scenes of these shows and you see how many people have been killed, you'll be shocked. Mysteriously. just type in who's died around Strictly Come Dancing. You'll think, how is it possible? All these people have just died. If you go into my show Mediagate, hashtag Mediagate, satanic slave trading crime ring, staging false flags. So hashtag Mediagate, satanic crime ring, staging false flags. I think that's the title. You watch that and I flag up, just like I'm doing here, I flag up so many people who have died behind my stolen TV shows. And you have to ask yourself, how come so many people have died? So let's just quickly look at this. I want to show you this. This is the business card Helen Alexander gave me at the meeting with her and Jim Manson, who I just showed you. Now, I just showed you, she pretends that she removes all of this from her biop now. She removes that she was head of factual broadcasting with SMG, which is a company where they are staging the false flags along with ITV. This is Jim Manson. I showed you. He was doing.
And that the name of her company, the head of factual programming. I mean, those two words, factual programming, do say a lot, don't they?
They say a lot. And so what she's doing, she's actually inside intelligence units, staging these factual programming, which means another code for false flag operations. This is what they're doing. Okay, this is Virgin Media. They were originally called NTL Facilities. Once they found guilty in the court case, they changed their name to Virgin Media. So they were originally called NTL, and they were found guilty. And so this is key because this shows that they've been paying police secretly. So basically, this network has got the police. This shows you that they are involved in paying for. This is why you will never get anybody to the police to arrest anybody in Grenfell Tower.
Is that the same Virgin company that's Virgin Atlantic, the
yes
airline?
Yeah. Yes.
That's wild. Oh,
yes.
Wow.
This is another thing. Here we see, this is the false flag they did outside my home, directly outside my home. This shows you how blatant they are with Grenfell Tower. This is a fire directly opposite my home, right? And then they have a actual production which they put.
So one whole floor was burning, right? Is something that you said directly opposite your apartment building. There was another apartment building and a whole floor was burned.
Yes, and then while they burned the floor down, this is typical of Operation Mockingbird. They put up makers from Strictly Come Dancing. Is TV Strictly Come Dancing. You can't actually see this, but if you go into the Farrell report, you can have a look at it. And this is my stolen work. And then basically, this is my house is here, and this is where the fire is here.
Yeah, and that show is yours that was stolen.
Yes, it's part of the whole.
There's part of the whole package of several that you had created, and that were all stolen from you.
Literally hundreds of productions.
But this is a very well-known show, right? Everybody knows Dancing with the Stars in the US, and in the UK, it's Strictly Come Dancing.
Right. Now you could ask yourself, how could a TV show or anything be connected to Grenfell? Well, these are the very people that do it. And this is how I'm showing you this, to show you how blatantly they carry out crimes. They'll cause a fire, they'll burn a place down, and they'll burn the floor, just like it says Dark Tower. The building, what's left of Grenfell, is now a dark tower, as we've already established. It's just a hollow shell, an eerie hollow shell, which is basically a dark tower. That's what's left of Grenfell now. So anyway, I'm going to shut this down. Oh, one more point. In relation to this, what the woman in the video that we said, she was talking about the satanic sacrifice being similar to 9/11, Twin Towers. Here we see in this image, we actually see Twin Towers. So these are obviously where the fire was supposed to start, right? And so but you see twin towers. So this was to symbolize that this was going to be our 9/11
Oh,
in the
I
UK.
see. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So,
You see
and
that.
there's a movie, if anybody wants to look, you can look at the movie called Blame It on the Muslims. And anytime they do a false flag, they always blame it on Muslims. And there's a movie that they show it clearly, because in the movie, they embed the truth. So I'm
Mhm.
going to come out of this. So you should be able to see me again so that
Okay,
we can
yes, I
close.
do. Yes. Wow, that was an
Yes.
amazing tour de force. You've taken us through a lot of detail. And I think, it's definitely something to look at more closely. But you've certainly laid
Yes,
out the argument for very deliberate, intentional action here.
absolutely. This was a satanic ritual. Absolutely. It's clearly shown by the corn dollies we see with the music. So this was harvest time for them. And obviously, when you look at the solstice information that I showed you earlier, that the lady from the Understanding the Matrix channel, I don't know her name, apologies if you watch this, I didn't know your name, I'm sorry. And also Mr. Kati, who is another brilliant researcher or investigator. I don't know his background, I don't know any of these people, but just in my research and investigating this myself, I found so much evidence to show that it was a satanic ritual. And so the important thing that we have to understand is that just as closing, it's not corporate manslaughter. Corporate manslaughter it means corpse. It's a dead entity. Okay, so what we're talking about is living people carried this out. So what we're talking crimes against humanity. We're talking endangering, I think the law is called endangering the public or something like that. There is anti-terrorism laws. So these are the ballparks that we should be in. We shouldn't be in this corporate manslaughter ballpark because it just is a dead end. It leads to nowhere. We should be in anti-terrorism laws. We should be organized crime laws. So in the US, it's called RICO, which is racketeering in corrupt organizations. We should be within looking at malfeasance in public office. We should be looking at basically proceeds of crime, because obviously there's a lot of money. This was a massive money-making exercise.
Yes, and I think that's very vital to highlight because we're talking about different ways in which money is being made and different ways in which people are being rewarded, such as Ryden, the company that created the cladding, and then Zurich, the insurance company.
Then you have the charity single, which is apparently the biggest grossing charity single of all time. Then you have theatre productions. I have all this stuff, but I didn't get to show it to you all. But you can just do a search yourself, and you'll just find out how many charities there are. And foundations. There's Kensington Chelsea Foundation, which is collecting on behalf of. I wish I'd showed you that because. You'll see that in terms of this harvest situation, this corn dolly. So for a lot of people, this was like a massive money making exercise. So we're not just talking about the horrors of the crime. We're talking about profiteering and proceeds of crimes from the horrific murders of innocent people. Murders of my family members, murders of your family members, murders of children. This is what we're talking about here. And this is why I'm appealing to the members of the public who watches this to like the video, comment on the video, and report on the video. Report that this is happening. If it's just me and Romola and a few others that are reporting on this crime, it's going to be another Grenfell and another Grenfell and another Grenfell until everybody is in these situations and nobody does anything about it. Possibility to stand up and be the next Nat Turner, stand up and be Harriet Tubman, stand up and be Malcolm X, stand up and be Martin Luther King, Marcus Mosiah Garvey, stand up and be Garvey, stand up and fight for your life and for your family's life, to defend it. I'm not saying to people to do anything that you can't do, but you have to let go of the fear. You have to recognize that humanity is in danger right now. We're in a dangerous situation. We've got people who've gone wild. It's lawless. There is no courts. There is no police services. There is no government. You've got a public inquiry which is not public. It's all stage managed by the very people that are perpetrating this. You have to stand up. It cannot just be me and Romola and a few others. Everybody has to stand up. If you do not want this in your country, because believe me, it will be in your country next. If you do not shut this crime ring down, the Seven Gate crime ring down, believe me, it's going to be in your country. Do you know how many fires there have been since Grenfell that are not even being reported? Chadwell, Hampstead, Camden Town. I think there was a major one that was like Grenfell in somewhere like Hawaii. You know, all of a sudden, these things are kicking off all over the place. You know, and we know what's going on. You know, these people, they're begging for you to stop them. But you have to report on it. Report on the truth. That's all I'm asking people to do. It would just take 5 channels. 5 channels, 5 reporters with big networks. Report on it. If you don't have the confidence to do it, pitch, go to Alex Jones, go to the other big networks, all the other big networks out there, go to them and ask them to report on this. Tell your audiences that this is happening. This is what I'm asking people to do. So on that note, I thank you, Romola, for having me on again. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thank you, Seven, for coming on and for taking the time to go through all of this information, and also for making such an impassioned appeal, which I do hope will not fall on deaf ears. And one of the things that we can do perhaps between the two of us is to take this video and pass it around to whoever we know in old media who has a platform, who could help.
I've been doing that, you know, and I thank everybody for forwarding the first report that we did. It's really, I'm just so grateful that you've done that. And I'm just asking people to keep spreading the word, keep spreading the information, keep sharing it. You know, thank you to all the warriors. Thank you for everybody who has sent their condolences to my family. Condolences to all the families out there who are suffering right now. I know people that are crying and they haven't stopped crying. They haven't stopped crying since Grenfell, you know, and it's this is something that if we can achieve this, we can change the world, you know, because this is a catalyst. This situation symbolizes a catalyst of change. We have the opportunity with this situation to make the noise that is necessary to overturn this. But we have to act, and we have to act really fast, and we have to act, put our hearts in the picture now.
Yeah.
You can't be, you know, we have to think with our hearts. You know, I'm begging people, I'm appealing to people, all the people out there who are warriors. I don't want this to happen to you. I don't want this to be done to your family. And I want to see that all the children are protected. And, you know, we have a problem with Satanism, and we can change it, you know, and we're asking the people who are in these crime rings to stop it now. Stop it now. You have enough money to get intervention. You've got enough money to recognize. You've stolen enough money. You have enough money to get exorcism, to get psychiatric treatment. You have enough money. You must stop it now. You are harming people. You are harming yourself. You are harming humanity. You must stop it now. You must stop it now. And we will stop you. If you don't stop, we will stop you. Because you do not have the right to kill innocent people in horrific ways. You've been lied to. Anybody who tells you that Satanism is real is a liar. It's not real. It has no validity. Anything that makes you harm other innocent people is is wicked. Stop it now. Okay, Romola, that's me.
Yes, thank you so much, Seven. Yeah, it's, we have to think of the children. We have to think of just the innocents who are caught up in this maelstrom of wickedness, really, that's emanating from Satanism and crime in high places. And unfortunately, it could be any one of us next.
Absolutely.
Many of us are already targeted by these crime syndicates around the world. Many of us have become the focus of, electronic surveillance, which is nothing but, electromagnetic slavery. Again, it's the slave trade all over again.
Yeah.
It's modern slavery.
It is because people are paying to watch you being tortured.
Exactly, and people are paying in order to use weapons on you, and people are being paid rather to use weapons on you.
Absolutely.
And a lot of money is being made off of
Absolutely.
this.
In the same way, Grenfell, because like in the dark web, the Grenfell is an extension of the dark web. On the dark web, deep web or dark web, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes, yeah.
Where they carry out crimes and people watch people being...
It's like snuff films, right, is what I've heard.
Yeah, I think the Grenfell was also that. I think people paid money to probably gamble, bet, or whatever. There's so much money involved in this situation.
Yeah, and it seems like the people that we're dealing with are devoid of empathy, sympathy, awareness. They are, they're the classic definition of psychopath. And the malignant narcissist is what I understand, along with everything else. People who keep self at the center and have no qualms about watching people burn to death, which is horrifying to the rest of us. Absolutely horrifying.
It's so, there's not even words to really describe it. If you go into Ronald Bernard,
yes.
Yes. He actually talks about the whole way the hierarchical pyramid structure of this satanic cult works.
Yes.
And that the highest ones at the top of the pyramid, they're the ones that make the most money. They do the most horrific things. Okay. And so, the higher you get, the ones with titles next to their names, like Dame Helen Alexander, Sir Jeffrey Beinman, all of these people who have been knighted, these are the ones that are involved in carrying out these things. And so they cannot stay in the public if there is a public outcry. That's all it will take, is a public outcry to recognize that this is...
And part of what we are doing is, this is an exercise in raising awareness, in putting the information out there and inviting people to open their eyes and open their minds and consider exactly what is happening. Because no longer can we say that Satanism and child sacrifice are fringe pieces of information to be consigned to the dark edges of the internet. This has come front and center at this point in time,
Absolutely. So it's about taking action, using your voice, using your platform. If you have a Facebook group, Twitter page, if you have a YouTube channel, a Vimeo channel, a Daily Motion channel, whatever you have, if you have a voice, if you can afford to make flyers, and give them out on the street, because there's a massive uprising on the streets now. There is a lot of infiltrators in the whole Grenfell public inquiry situation. There's a lot of liars. And so you have to be very careful who you speak to. There's a lot of people, you can't trust them. If they're from mainstream media, you can't trust them. If they're from law firms. So what we're looking into doing is to create our people public inquiry. This is what's happening at the moment. We're looking into creating a people's public inquiry. And the evidence I'm showing you today is so that you can put it towards all the other evidence that is out there, and also be encouraged to gather evidence yourself and to see, is there a link to Satanism? Now, I've showed you without doubt, shadow of a doubt, 100%. The networks will tell it. They're telling you themselves, the mainstream press have told you themselves, that Satanism is at the root of what we're dealing with of nations across the world. So we have to change it, because these people are sick.
Yeah.
They're sick. When somebody help them. Yeah, and this is what we're actually helping these people to stop doing their evil. Yes, they have to face punishment. Yes, they have to face the full weight of the law. But it is your duty to get these people off of the streets, because they're not going to do it for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to do it for themselves. So I know I've been rambling on. I apologize to everybody. I thank you all again. And I just ask you, don't just watch this video. Send it to hundreds of people. Send it to everybody you know, and tell everybody you know to send it to everybody they know, and make smaller versions of it yourself. Watch it, then make a smaller version. If you want to make a 4-minute version just talking about the evidence that I've put out there, you can do that so that people can click on it very quickly. There are videos of me talking inside the public inquiry circulating around the internet, because I did address Morbik, and I told him exactly what I'm telling you, that it was premeditated, and it was done by the Illuminati Satanists, 7-Gate crime ring. So you can see those on the internet as well. If you put in Grenfell meeting on the 25th of July, the 25th of the 7th, 2017. If you put that date in.
And we'll put the link below as well.
Okay, yes, we'll put the link below. You can actually see it on my channel as well. If you go
brilliant. Yeah, I do want to put the link below for your channel as well. Definitely.
Okay. All right, my dear.
Yeah, thank you so much again, Seven. Let's wrap this up then. And thank you to everybody watching. And, please do as Seven says, pass the word on, share the video, and so forth. And we'll be back very soon with another conversation together, possibly this time, Seven, starting on the story of your own experience, because you led up to it so well this time.
Okay, thank you very much.
Wonderful.
Much gratitude to you for being courageous, divine, feminine.
You're very welcome. We're in the same boat, to tell the truth. As you know, I'm also targeted, and that's a story for another day.
Yes, so we're going to get into, actually, because there's parallels, and so, we have to also get Ramola's story out there as well. Support Ramola's channel. What's your YouTube channel called?
It's Romola D Reports.
So like and subscribe to her channel. Subscribe also to my channel for regular updates. We will be doing regular updates covering really important information that you're not necessarily going to see anywhere else. So please subscribe, because, and like the video. If we can get 100,000 likes, that would be amazing. Just everybody just liking the video because they want to shut Satanism down.
Oh, that'll be wonderful. Yeah, we just need to pass it around to a few people so that it travels a little bit,
Yeah, just, even if it's just your good karma for the day, if you see the video, just like it, and so that we can get a kind of movement going. We do have initiatives that are happening, but we'll tell you about them as time progresses. So much love to everybody again. Thank you very, 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 very much for your support and your concern and care for your families and for humanity. I thank you.
Yes, it's going to come down to that, our love for humanity and our caring for each other. Yeah, thank you so much again, Seven, and thank you everyone for watching. Have a great night. We'll see you very soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.